live on the air. I'm Richard Sales.
This is wild.
Hello, welcome back to another episode of Lounge Time. I'm your host, Rich Sale, and today, it's been a while since we had a guest in studio, since episode 1. We got my friend, my buddy, huge fan of the show, Vinny Assalone, making his debut. I call him Vinbot off camera, but I'm calling him by his full name today. Vinny, thanks for joining the show this week, my friend.
No problem, man. Hey, it's always a pleasure. When Rich gave me the phone call and said, hey, Vin, you're about to be on Lounge Time, I said, say less. I got all of our stuff. We have a clear-cut, list of what you're looking at today. We're going to be talking about Commanders. We're going to talk about awards. We're going to be talking about playoff predictions. We're going to dip into college a little bit, top 25 and maybe top 4.
That's going to be interesting. We have never talked about college unless you follow the Guarantee It segment when my dad picks college. Sometimes I pick a few, but yes, this is the first time we'll be talking about college football this year. For those of you that probably are new to the show, I mostly talk about the NFL games, but I do talk about college with Guarantee It's. But it's okay. We're willing to try some new things. It's all good. But I want to get started with your team. Who are you a fan of, first of all?
I call them, you can call them whatever you want. Their real name is the Commanders, unfortunately. I've been a fan since I was a little boy. I was born into it. My father, thank God, I wasn't a Browns fan because he was from Cleveland. So I'll definitely, take that into granted. But, 4-5 in the season, middle of the season. Recap with Rich here. Not looking good, man. Not looking good. We got a bummed-up quarterback situation. Historically, the the Commanders have always had a shit show of quarterbacks. The last good quarterback we had was Kirk Cousins and RG3 duo. Others since then, we had fucking Rex Grossman, Jason Campbell, all these no-name players that I had to sit and watch in the stadium and be like, who is that guy?
Yeah.
It was bad, man.
Yeah. I mean, you had that one little stretch before Alex Smith got hurt, and then you had Heineke for a little bit, but you still have him. But for that little bit, he was like lightning in a bottle, and then he's looked all right since. I'm just trying to remember if it was anybody but Alex Smith.
I was gonna say Alex Smith, Kirk Cousins, RG3, Heineke, Carson Wentz. We had like a quarterback situation where Heineke was hurt. I think we had Josh Johnson or whatever that guy's name was. Remember the guy that played for like 14 teams at one point?
Oh yeah.
That guy we had there. I was like, where's my team gone? But right now it's not looking good. I mean, we got to the playoffs. We were in the wild card against Brady, and people forget that Brady actually won the Super Bowl that year too. So we could have knocked out, the winning champions.
The eventual champs, right?
Yeah. It was
you
crazy.
played them the toughest of any of the four.
I would say that defense carried us that year. Chase Young was his rookie year. He was going to win Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah.
He did, right?
Defensive Rookie of the Year
Defensive Rookie of the Year, he won.
Yeah.
I mean, he's sidelined almost the entire season so far, and I think this is, at one point we were 4-4, and I was like, I don't know how. We beat the Packers. We should have beat the Vikings last week, but, Heineke, like I said, lightning in a bottle. He could be good one game. He could be terrible the next game.
Mm-hmm.
I think the one thing he struggles with is pocket pressure. I think once he gets underneath the pressure, he's not very calm, cool, and collected like some veterans out there.
Right.
And he made that stupid play. Who was it? I think he was throwing it to McLaurin on a cross route, and he threw it right to Harrison Smith. I mean, like, he's wearing a bright purple jersey. I don't know how you throw it to him when it's a sea of red out there.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I want to go back to what made you guys really good in the playoffs, which was that front four with Chase Young, Jonathan Allen, Daron Payne, Montez Sweat. I don't remember if you had Kerrigan or if he was hurt that year.
I think he was hurt. I think that's the year he retired too, or he signed, or he recently retired, but he was hurt in and out.
Okay.
But that front four carried us the entire way. I called them the core four. DBs were doing all right. I know we had washed up Landon Collins and the safeties holding it down too.
Yeah.
But I think that core four, I'm telling you, it's a great defense. But I think just DBs, we had a deep. Blown coverages left and right. I mean, we signed William Jackson III.
Now he's with Pittsburgh.
Now he's with Pittsburgh, man. It's crazy. I don't know why we even signed into that contract, too. It feels like we're spending money on areas we don't need. Mm-hmm. And I think, obviously, going into free agency, because I don't even care about the season anymore. I don't know why we should be winning games. We should be tanking for another young quarterback because our quarterback situation's out of the... I mean, we got the guy from UNC. I forgot his name.
Sam Howell. I was just about to ask you about
I was going to say, we should play him a little bit more. I mean, I don't know what we're going to do with Carson Wentz. That was, like I said, money thrown at a dead horse. We picked up a seasoned vet, or he had one good year, and then ACL injury. He backset him a little bit. Had a run at the Colts. They let him go for a reason, or they were shopping him. Yeah. And I don't know, man. I really want to tank for another quarterback, but I also want to see how the young gun underneath the lights will be. I mean, and also offensive line. Our offensive line has been shaky historically too. We recently got rid of Brandon Sheriff, who's been been there forever, and there's different people playing out of position. You have left tackles playing centers. You have centers playing left guard. It's just a mess up
Mix
front.
And match,
yeah,
right.
And I think our weapons are good. Our receiving core is good. Curtis Samuel, I know he's injury prone, but when he's not, he's very elusive. I say he's a TJ Maxx version of Deebo Samuel a little bit. Because they set him up in the backfield. He's a receiving back. I mean, he's a receiver, but he plays like Deebo Samuel.
Right, I know what you're talking about.
Obviously not as the same caliber,
right.
But same play style.
Yeah, no, I seen reverses even going back to when Rivera was in Carolina with Curtis Samuel. They kind of did him on some reverses, like bubble screens.
Yep.
Or,
a lot of backfield passes.
Right.
And also when you said Rivera too, that's also another a quarterback. I mean, another address. He's an old coach. We need a young coach. We need a young guy who can, Rivera plays a very passive way, I would say. I don't know. I feel like there's times on 4th and 1 where you should be going for it. The play calling's a little bit messed up. The clock management also too. He wasted 2 timeouts crucially in the last quarter. I remember. This is play clock management too as well. I don't know. I mean, he's a good coach. I mean, what he did with Cam Newton and that team. Obviously, is never going to be forgotten. Too bad they came up short against Peyton in the playoffs.
Right.
But that was a defensive.
Yeah.
Super Bowl. But
the reason I want to bring up the front four for a minute is because when those 4 were healthy, they were one of the best, if not the best, defensive line in football at that time. Mm-hmm. Chase Young, like you said, got hurt, missed half the season this year, missed half the season last year a little bit.
Yep.
But that front four hasn't quite been as great the last 2 years. I'm with you. There's issues in the back end that have something to do with it. But you feel like, too, this front four should be doing... when you think they'd be doing more, they're not doing what they're... I don't know that... I feel like, too, they're not picking up the slack when they know the back end and stuff is weak. But that only goes so far when you have other complementary pieces in the unit that are not doing their job and roles like that. And then when I look at, Rivera, yes, he's riverboat gambler for a reason. 4th and whatever, he goes for it. I would ask you this, though, about Rivera. Do you think he is gone at the end of the season, depending on what happens? And if he is, what kind of coach are you eyeing? Because I believe the league is heading towards young offensive minds.
That's what I'm saying. A lot of young coaches out there are going
to think of names off the top of my tongue, Eric Bieniemy from the Chiefs. I know he's offensive coordinator. Andy Reid mostly does the play calling with Kansas City, but he's a hot coaching commodity. Usually the Sean McVay tree coaches get the role now. Even the Kyle Shanahan tree now is getting a lot of recognition. I'm trying to think. I know people want Byron Leftwich to get a job, but Tampa hasn't had the season they thought so far. I'm just trying to go quickly.
It's just, I think, I mean, don't get me wrong, coaches that have more experience obviously win more games. I mean, Riverboat Ron, he does gamble, but sometimes I think getting up to that point where he's best at, he struggles along the way, I would say. I mean, there are a lot of young coaches out there that would be a perfect fit for this team. I mean, this team just needs that one missing piece, and that is, or two missing pieces, I would say.
What are those?
Quarterback and a head coach, I think. I don't know about Jack Del Rio on the defense as well, too. I think some of the play calling is a little bit iffy. The defense does give up a lot of points, a lot of yardage. I mean, that could be player instinct of just a player not being good, or that could just be play calling, when they're playing man when they're not supposed to, when they're playing zone when they're supposed to play man. I don't know specifically what coach is available right now.
Right, that's,
just because it is mid-season, but I would like to see some sort of, change in the coaching staff, I would say.
The reason I say that the league is trending towards young offensive coaches is look at the coaches now that are having success.
All young
Nick
guys.
Sirianni, a Brian Daboll coming from Buffalo, a Mike McDaniel coming from San Francisco to Miami. That's why I was curious if you had a candidate or two in mind that you'd really like to see, because obviously the Panthers tried the college route with Matt Rule, but that didn't work out.
College is different from the NFL.
Right, I'm just trying to name candidates at this point. I didn't know if you had one or two maybe that stood out.
I would maybe suggest the guy from the Chiefs that you said. I honestly forgot his name.
Eric Bieniemy?
I think he would be a pretty good fit, just because you do come from, Andy Reid, who's historically a really good coach. And has a lot of, I would say, things that he can back up on what he does, obviously he's at the championship. He coached McNabb, Vic, Mahomes, great quarterbacks, obviously. I don't know. I think the Chiefs. I think he's the up front running, at least for my end, because for some reason I can't forget his name. What's his name again?
Eric Bieniemy.
Yes, him.
It's all right.
Other than that, but yeah, I mean, young coaches are like Daboll. Who would have thought the Giants would be at where they're at right now? It all comes from the coaching.
Yeah.
I mean, you have I'm not ripping on the Giants, but Daniel Jones is not a good quarterback.
We'll get to that.
It's literally everybody else is carrying him. I mean, his coach is also good too.
Yeah.
The Miami coach is good too.
Yeah.
It makes no sense. It all starts with coaching. If a coach, your leader, trusts your team, I mean, sky's the limit. I mean, honestly.
When I look at the common theme with young coach, even the Vikings with Kevin O'Connell at 7-1. We'll talk about
Zimmerman needed to go. That guy was holding that team back.
The reason I say this is there's a liveliness, youth, energy, and I don't see that with you guys right now. But that's what I'm seeing. I know I don't know how young Daboll is, but I would say he's in his 40s.
But he
But Daboll brings energy, and there's a different type of feeling that the Giants haven't had in a very long time.
Yeah.
Miami, McDaniel's got that offensive genius label now to him, but he has confidence in Tua, and the players around him are believing in what he does.
Yeah.
And then O'Connell with the Vikings, coming from the Rams, those guys are winning those one-score games that they couldn't win with Zimmer last year. There's a common theme with these young offensive minds that can turn your team hopefully in the right direction. Those three teams being the prime examples. I just feel like with you guys, I don't know I don't know what the current situation. I know Dan Snyder. We know he's selling the team, into hiring independent banks and stuff like that.
Yeah,
that whole process. That's why I think your situation is maybe not as attractive as let's say those other teams were at the time.
It's just, you ever see the episode of SpongeBob where he goes in his brain and everything's on fire, people are running around? That's what the Commanders organization is. I think he was trying to remember the ingredients of a Krabby Patty and he doesn't know what the fuck's going on. That's literally what the Commanders is happening right now. I think it's just a bunch of people running around saying, what the hell is going on?
Yeah.
It does come from the coach because the coach brings in his staff, he brings in his environment, he brings in his play style, and obviously players can bounce off to it differently from others.
Yeah.
And I mean, as long as you got the right guys and the right coach, I mean, it can click. I mean, it's crazy.
Definitely. Every organization has its own fit in what they're looking for, and that's why with the whole process, they want to make sure they hire the right guy. And I know that they're trying to get more of the Rooney Rule involved in there, but that's why it might be tough for Bieniemy because of especially what happened with Flores in this past offseason with Stephen Ross asking him to tank, which I'll divulge some news on that whole Miami situation later in the season. I don't want to bring it up now because they're doing well now, but I got word from somebody who was actually in your seat since I think Joey, who was in episode 3, I forgot to mention that at the beginning of the show. But yeah, I know he had told me something about that situation, but I'm gonna wait till later in the season to bring that up.
Of course.
But the reason I say it is, I think to me, when I look at your situation, Big Enemy has to be the guy you guys go after.
Yeah.
Because the thing that, like, again, now the whole thing would be, do you want to go try to draft a CJ Stroud or Bryce Young, or even, and again, I would put Stroud, Bryce Young, then guys like Will Levis in there, and I'm
Tennessee guy,
Hendon Hooker,
Florida Gator guy, I forgot what his name is.
Anthony Richardson, who's got upside, but he's like a project.
He's a project.
Yeah. So, but there's guys, but then again, we don't, I don't know what you thought of Sam Howell in the preseason. Do you think that
preseason's preseason. It's just people making the team, so they're obviously going to play a little bit harder. And I'm tired of just having the Commanders recycle old veterans. I mean, I don't know. I really don't want. I want someone new. I want someone fresh underneath the helm, just like a Justin Fields. Draft somebody, work him out a little bit. I mean, look at the game he had last week. He literally almost carried the Bears to that win himself.
The last, I want to say 3 weeks,
he's been going off.
And look what they're doing to his skill set. They're adding plays that the Ravens did, the Eagles that are doing with Hurts and Lamar. And look what he's doing now because of the skill set you have. And now Chicago,
he's an offensive line and a couple weapons away from being a really good team.
Eberflus can build the defense because he's a defensive-minded coach.
I just think Claypool, in addition to Claypool, it was good. All they had was Darnell Mooney. That was it. That's the only person I knew. And Cole Kmet.
N'Keal Harry, but he's like hurt.
He's hurt. You had him. I remember you guys had him. He was
injured. Didn't work out.
He had a couple catches one year, and he just hurt the entire time. But I think the Bears. We're going to go into this later, but I think the Bears are 1 or 2 weapons away and a good offensive line from being a really good team. They have running back locked up. Mm-hmm. Montgomery and that rookie they got looked like Herbert looks awesome.
Yeah.
And Fields, if he's playing the way he's playing in the cold, man, right now.
Yep. Years your way.
Yeah,
$100 million in cap space. You've got draft capital.
Yeah, they got the most cap space.
They've got an attractive situation going into
this.
It's just
who wants to play in Chicago. I mean, that's honestly who it is.
That's the thing.
I'm tired of seeing my team just recycle old quarterbacks. It just sucks. We wasted so much money on Carson Wentz. We could have applied that to somebody else, or maybe get some more draft picks for somebody, or just something. But I don't know. And I mean, the Colts, they're not looking good either. They just hired Jeff Saturday. I mean, player coach. I'm trying to see how that turns out. I mean,
I don't know how that's gonna be.
I don't know. That's a doozy. But yeah, that's my take on the Commanders. I mean, we're 4-5 right now. Next couple games are going to be a little bit rough. I do see some W's, thank God, at least from my end. But next game, so we're 4-5 right now. I think we're on the end. We're at the bottom, right? We're on the bottom of the division.
In the last division.
Yeah, of course. We play the Eagles. Eagles are red hot right now. One of the players, I think me and Rich's clear front runner for MVP. That's Jalen Hurts. Texans, that might be a W, but Texans can play you rough sometimes. They played the Eagles really good. And I'm surprised they didn't go away with that win. Falcons, Mariota, that run-heavy team, it's crazy. I mean,
they've been competitive.
They've been competitive, too. I mean,
the Giants twice.
So I think we're losing to the Eagles. Might have a win against the Texans. Falcons maybe have a win. Giants, it just depends on, if the Giants are going to burn out here or there.
Right.
We play the Giants back-to-back. And then 49ers, that's an L. CMC, if you saw CMC, he literally was the reason that they won that game.
Yep.
So that's an L. Browns, Nick Chubb, I mean, and that's when Deshaun Watson's back too. So just depending on how he can play, since he's been suspended, and then we end off the season with the Cowboys, who just own us. The one team I hate in our division, the Cowboys. That is the most hated team ever, and I can't stand them.
Wow.
Nope.
I mean, that whole division just doesn't like each other.
Nope.
Dallas, Philly don't like each other. Eagles, Giants don't like each other. Cowboys, Giants don't like each other. You and the Cowboys don't like each other.
I think that's the most. I think that's top. I think that's literally the number one rivalry.
The whole NFC.
I think the way the NFC is, I think they just hate each other so much. Crazy.
Yeah. All right. we're going to get to awards in a little bit, but I want to go over the playoff picture that's currently in the fold right now. Now, Buffalo is currently the 1 in the AFC. Kansas City, Baltimore, right there at 2 and 3. Tennessee's right there at 4. And then you have at the wild cards, you've got Miami, you've got the Jets, you've got Cincinnati on the outside looking in, you've got New England on the outside looking in, you have the Chargers on the outside, I think is the last spot, and then you have, those are, I guess, the main teams I want to say. I probably missed a few, but those are the notable ones.
Yeah.
I'm going to start with the AFC. First, give me the 1 seed, then the other 3 division winners, and then give me your 3 wild cards.
Okay. So right now, coming out of the AFC, it's hard because Josh Allen just got hurt.
Right.
So unless Case Keenum has a revenge tour, I mean, right now, mid-season, I got the Bills still winning.
The 1 seed?
Yep, I still think that Bills are going to win.
Okay.
Right behind them, I got the Chiefs.
At the 2, okay.
And then I got the Ravens.
Okay.
Then this is a little bit tough. So I have the Dolphins coming out
As a wild card?
as yes.
Okay.
And then I have Bengals,
As a-
Titans, and Jets.
So Titans winning the South, Jets, Bengals occupying the last 2 wild
Yep.
cards.
That's my AFC. What are your thoughts on that?
I agree with you on Buffalo at the 1 seed, but it all is dependent on Josh Allen's injury and how long he's out
Exactly.
for. They just said today, day to day, they're going to see how he feels going into the week.
They said it's an elbow injury.
Yeah. I think I'm going to shock you with this. I think the 2 seed's going to be Baltimore. I just saw their schedule, what was it, yesterday morning.
I think they have the easiest.
They have
right?
the easiest remaining schedule.
Well, I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, the only team I think, and I'm surprisingly saying this,
Okay.
I think that there's one game they could lose, and that's at Cincinnati in the last game of the season.
Really?
I will say one more thing. Pittsburgh will play them tough. Granted, they're horrible, but when it's the Ravens, they play tougher.
tough.
That's why those are potential losses. I'm not saying they're going to lose.
Yeah.
They could split. They could win both. But the Pittsburgh Steelers always play them tough.
Yeah.
They're potential losses.
That division's
But I have
crazy.
Baltimore as a 2 seed. I do. I
That
think
division always plays everybody
yeah,
tough.
I think that Baltimore maybe loses like 1 game down the stretch. Their schedule is very favorable. I think they're going to get the 2 seed. Mm-hmm. I got Kansas City at the 3 because they have the tiebreaker over the Titans. I think, that division alone, they have the coaching far over Staley, McDaniels, and Hackett.
Yeah.
And they have a better, stable situation than those other 3 teams. Those other 3 teams got problems that can't overcome them, and that's why I feel like they're going to win by default.
Yeah.
I got the Titans at the 4. I think we all know because the Colts, with their situation, the Texans are in rebuild. They got 20-something draft picks in the next 2 years. You can build a whole team with that.
Watch out for the Texans.
Jacksonville can't stop a cold or a runaway train on defense. Okay, like the Lions. So let's just call it like it is. The Titans are going to grab the 4 seed.
Okay.
Now this is where
It gets a little
this
tricky.
is where it gets tough. I'm going to give Miami a wild card. I don't know how you're going to stop Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, let alone Mike Gesicki. I don't know why Cedric Wilson's not in there.
I don't know.
Okay, but Trent Sherfield's getting more reps than him.
Yeah, he is.
They just got they have Mostert, but now
Chase Edmonds, right? No.
I think he went to Denver,
Went
but
to
they got
Denver.
Jeff Wilson.
Jeff
That's the running back I
Wilson,
was
that's
thinking.
Jeff Wilson.
Right. Now you add Bradley Chubb with a Jalen
God.
Phillips, who's
Oh, yeah.
a nice stud. Christian Wilkins is a stud up in there. And then you have Xavier Howard. I know they lost Brandon Jones, and
They
Byron
did.
Jones is in and out. Javon Holland's an up-and-coming safety.
Yeah.
They have a nice defense, but they give up a lot of points.
It's a shootout. It's always a shootout.
It's always high scoring with Miami. They will make 1 spot, I believe. The 2nd spot, this is where it's tough because I looked at the Jets. They got some tough road games coming up.
They do. But
Okay.
That defense is holding them, though.
Yes, that's the thing. I feel like the Jets, I don't know what their offense is with Breece Hall out now. Their run game didn't look great, but I think they were much better against Buffalo. That was a kind of a,
That was just a weird game.
yeah, it was kind of like they needed to kind of salvage their season from going absolute south.
And you got to understand the
Backs were against the
quarterback
wall.
situation, too, man. That's just a whole nother story.
Are we completely sold on Zach Wilson? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
I'm not.
And that's why I'm kind of like debating this as I'm thinking on the fly. I'm going with the Bengals, though, as my second wild card. I just think, when Chase gets back, that offense will be fine. Their O-line will get cleaned up. The defense is okay. It's not a great defense,
best,
but they hang in there. And I think they can go in. I would not be surprised if they go into Baltimore or Kansas City or even in Tennessee like they did last year. They can win on the road.
They can.
Joe Burrow's been there before. All right, they might look like a step back right now, but if the Bengals were a wild card and I have to go into Arrowhead or in Tennessee, I wouldn't be scared. They did it last year, so
they did.
I got them as my second. Now the third, this is where it gets tough because I'm not taking anybody in the South. That's out by default.
Okay.
I've talked about my Patriots. I'm not doing it. I'm not. I don't like the schedule.
Don't do it. Don't do
I'm
it.
not. I'm not doing it. I'm a smart, honest fan. We are not going anywhere. Okay? Don't talk me into it. I know my uncle picked him to make the playoffs. I'm not falling for it. I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid. No chance. I won't take the Jets either. Because I feel like those road games, they got some tough ones. The Jets are not.
Are you just being biased? Are you being,
No,
are you
I
being
don't
a
think they're
salty
gonna-
Pats fan?
No, they're not. They got to go into Buffalo. They're not winning in Buffalo. They got to go in Miami.
Case Keenum as a quarterback? I mean,
No, Allen will be back by then.
You think?
It's like later in the year.
Okay.
They're not beating Miami in Miami last game of the year. No way. And then they got to go to us still. That might be, again, they're undefeated on the road. But they got other teams. I think they got to go in Minnesota, I believe.
Yeah, that's a tough game.
Yeah, so I
Minnesota's
don't.
red hot.
Yeah, I don't like their road games coming up. So, which brings me to the Chargers. And I said I'm off the bandwagon. But let's be honest. They have the roster to make it far. They're just injury prone.
It's just
What?
on paper, the Chargers look amazing.
Right. But
They're just injury prone.
What in the heck makes me think the Jets with their situations and their road games, all of a sudden we're just thinking over the Chargers. I know Chargers have coaching problems, but what makes me think the Jets are going to leap the Chargers? Let alone what makes me think my own team can leap both of them for a wild card. Just because we have Bill Belichick. Do we know who we have at OC? We have the two idiots, Patricia and Judge. We're going to say all of a sudden, oh yeah, after the bye, things are going to go real smooth and beat all these good teams. No! What if they... Okay, let me ask you this, Vinny. Who have we beaten this year that's actually been good? Let's be honest. I mean, what, the Jets and Jets once?
Yeah.
That's it. So that's what... And we're playing the second hardest schedule in the league. I think we're behind you guys for the hardest schedule. What makes me
Which
think...
is complete bullshit, by the way. We're terrible.
Yeah.
And we got thrown the hardest sketch.
It makes no... To me, I just can't pick my own team. I can't. I have to pick the Chargers as the third wild card. Okay. So I'll recap mine. I got Buffalo as the 1 seed. I got the Ravens as the 2 seed. Chiefs as the 3. I got the Titans as the 4. I got Miami at 5. Bengals at 6. And the Chargers at 7.
All right.
So that's my AFC.
Solid.
We'll revisit your AFC Championship and Super Bowl pick when we pick after we pick the NFC.
Of course.
So let's get to the NFC. Give me your 1 seed first, your other 3 division winners, and like the AFC, the 3 wild cards.
So NFC, I think we all can say Eagles are winning the NFC.
I'm gonna echo that thing with you.
I mean, it just depends on if they're gonna go undefeated this year. I mean, they do have a pretty easy schedule coming up. I'd say. I mean,
Yep.
I think with that team too, what they've been doing, I think it's sky's the limit.
Yep.
Crazy though, I don't have them going to the Super Bowl.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay. I might have my pick. I'm gonna wait for you though to give me.
Okay.
All right. So you got the Eagles as the 1 seed and winning the East.
Yes.
Who you got as your other 3 division winners?
I got the Vikings.
Okay.
Then I got the 49ers.
Okay.
Then I have... All right, so I have the Cowboys going in as a wild card.
Okay.
Then I have the Giants also going in as a wild card.
Okay. One more.
Then I got the Buccaneers.
Winning the South.
Yes.
And then who's your 3rd wild card?
The Seahawks with Geno Smith. Shout out WVU alumni, man.
Oh, yeah.
They called, and I write back.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
So I was going to say, thoughts on my list?
I agree with you on Philly.
Yeah.
I agree with you on Minnesota. I have them, and I'm trying to think if I have the Niners maybe as the 2 or the 3. I'm like picturing this right now. I have Tampa being the 4. I'm going to ride that train. They're going to be the
Brady
4.
fan.
Hell yeah.
You got
Won
to.
me 6 Super Bowls. I got it.
You got to.
So I got the Bucks as the 4 seed.
Yep.
I'm gonna be bold. I think the Niners are gonna be the 2 seed.
Okay.
I got the Vikings 3.
You think the Vikings are going to die out?
I feel like they're gonna lose a couple games coming up that I think the Niners will be able to take advantage of. They swept the Rams and Niners this year.
They did.
I think they're gonna beat the Cardinals convincingly.
Cardinals are a
And
shit show, right?
The only team that I think could maybe struggle with them is they got to go to Seattle. And
Seattle's playing good.
Yeah, no.
I don't know what it is in Seattle.
They always play each other tough, too. Seattle and Frisco. And Seattle's a better team than what they were in week 2 when they first met. So I think that's the one team that could maybe beat them.
Okay.
So I got that's the 4 division winners. I'll say them when I'm done.
Okay.
The wild cards.
Who do you got?
I got the Cowboys as the 5 seed.
Yep.
I think they're going to go to Tampa. Now, if they win in Tampa, that's one thing. All right? But I think they're the clear best wild card out of anybody in the NFC that I'm about to mention. And I'm going to try to go through this. I don't have anybody in the NFC South. I'm going to cut it right to the chase.
Yep.
The West, I have one team. The North, I don't think anybody gets in. We all know that there are other team situations. We talked about the Bears. They're a year or 2 away. Green Bay's done.
Yep.
The Lions, they can't stop a runaway train or a cold like Jacksonville. Okay? So
How was the Lions only win against us? All right, that's sick.
No, they beat Green Bay. All
right,
they
thank
got
God.
2.
Thank God, I forgot.
Yeah. So
But continue, I'm sorry.
yeah. So the 6th seed, I got Seattle going to Minnesota.
Okay.
And then the 7th seed. Pains me to say this. I got the Giants.
Oh.
I remind everybody, what can go wrong
Will go wrong.
You know this. You know when the Giants they have one playoff win in 10. It will be 11 years.
I'm just gonna say, fans out there, if you don't know the infamous yacht club picture of all the Giants receivers shirtless before they won, that picture is gonna be in the Hall of Fame for the biggest jinxes of all time.
That was the great. I'll never forget when I first saw that. That was the greatest thing because all I just kept saying was yacht club, and they thought by going on a yacht in whatever it was, Miami or the Bahamas, whatever it was, they thought that was gonna get them ready, and Odell leads the charge, and they thought, oh yeah, this is what's gonna help us get adjusted to the frozen tundra in Lambeau Field, and then next thing you know, you see Odell Beckham dropping the passes, and I'll never forget the next day. The Giant fans were so fucking quiet after it. I just it was in glory over it. I was like.
Sweatpants and Timbs, man. You guys.
I think wasn't it jeans and Timberland? It was
shirt,
jeans and Timberland boots, right? And they had all the torsos they were showing off. Yep.
So all the receivers were shirtless. They had jeans and Timbs on a yacht. And ever since that picture came out, the Giants just.
Yep, I'm telling you, what can go wrong will go wrong. Just wait. Just sit back and wait. Something's going to happen. I don't know when, but something's going to happen. They play the Eagles twice. They got to go to Dallas in Thanksgiving. That's going to be great.
Gonna be a good
That's
game.
going to be, and I'm getting the turkey and all that stuff. We're going to be, I'm going to watch, my uncle's coming because he's a Cowboy fan, okay? He's going to sit and enjoy this, okay? This is going to be great. But the best 3, and it won't happen, but the best 3 on Thanksgiving would be if the Lions upset Buffalo, which will not happen.
No.
If the Cowboys beat the Giants.
Yes.
And somehow, some way, Kirk Cousins stinks it up in primetime against my Patriots. That would be the triple turkey thing of Thanksgiving. To see those 3 things happen. It won't, though, because the Bills won't lose to the Lions.
No.
But if those 3...
Kirk Cousins can actually... Because Kirk Cousins is terrible primetime.
Yes, that could happen. And then the Dallas Cowboys against the Giants. They're in Dallas now. They're not in Giants. Yeah. So the Cowboys can beat them. Dak's back. Remember, Cooper Rush beat him. Okay? Dak Prescott's back. So what are we going to make of that? Just sit back and wait. That's all I'm going to say. So, I'll recap. All right, I got the Eagles as the 1 seed. Niners as the 2. Vikings 3. Tampa 4. Dallas 5. Seattle 6. Giants 7. That's where I'm at. Right?
Okay.
That's where I'm at. All right, so what I'm going to do with you now is give me your AFC, NFC championship, and then give me your Super Bowl matchup and who wins. I know it's hard, it's mid-season, but I'm going to throw mine out there with you. But I want you to go first.
This is tough.
I know.
NFC.
You said you don't have the Eagles making the Super Bowl, so I want to hear this.
Dude, honestly, Rich, I got Eagles 49ers.
In Philly.
Yes.
Who you got winning?
I got 49ers going to the Super Bowl.
Ooh. Boy, that would make Kyle Shanahan look really good if he gets another one. And going to 3 NFC Championship games in 4 years.
Yep.
2 Super Bowls in 4 years.
I think the addition with CMC is going to get that team over the hump.
And that defense is good with D'Amico Ryan.
It just depends if Kyle Shanahan shits himself.
That's the only thing. He's like Andy Reid.
That team is good, but it's the coach that always ruins it.
Yep. Double-digit blown lead against the Rams last year in the playoffs, the Chiefs Super Bowl, and we all know Atlanta when he was the coordinator.
Yep.
Okay, so you got the Niners representing the NFC, beating Philly in the NFC Championship.
Yep.
Who you got in the AFC Championship and representing the AFC?
I got Bills, and I got the Chiefs.
So Chiefs go to Buffalo.
Yep.
And who wins Mahomes Allen?
I got Bills.
Okay, so you got Bills and 49ers in the Super Bowl.
I think the Bills are the God's team this year. I think everyone wants the Bills to win. I mean, people who aren't Bills Mafia fans are Bills Mafia fans. Josh Allen is just – this is literally their year.
Yeah.
I mean, like, this is their year to win. Stephon Diggs is playing out of his mind. That defense is doing really good. It just depends if they can stay healthy. I mean, if Josh Allen goes down, that's a huge part.
Right,
but right now, mid-season – if we were to say Josh Allen is still active and he's still active on the team, he's not on IR, nothing.
Yeah.
I got Bills going Super Bowl against the 49ers.
All right.
So now, Rich, tell me yours. Or first, what do you think of that? Do you think that's reasonable? Do you think that's a cold take?
I like the pick. I'm not gonna lie. It's better than my uncle's Super Bowl pick. Okay.
Yeah.
Even though that looks still alive, but it's way better than yours. I like it.
Your uncle drinking Hennessy before the show. I don't know what the hell that was. What that
He
was.
had Bills Cowboys in the Super Bowl. He had Dallas Tampa in the championship, but we all didn't think Tampa would be this bad, so I can't blame it.
No.
And he had Cincinnati and Buffalo in the AFC Championship.
Yeah.
You name
It
it.
could, I mean, that could.
Those
that's
are
a
good.
long
Those
stretch.
are good
That's a long
picks.
stretch.
But Tampa's a long stretch now because of how bad Tampa looking, and we don't know. Cincinnati could make it to the AFC Championship.
It just depends if Jamar Chase.
But Bills Dallas, I'm sorry, I don't see that scenario happening.
If anything, Dallas is just carrying that team.
All right.
Or the defenses, excuse me.
All right.
So give me your conference championships and your Super Bowl winner.
I am not taking Tampa as much as I love Tom and all of them. Unless I see something.
So you think old quarterbacks no more? You don't think like Rodgers is out?
They're not making the playoffs, Green Bay. But Tampa's winning the South. I don't know if they're going to win a playoff game or 2, which I don't see winning 2. But depending on the wild card and depending on how they look, I don't think they're going to look that great the rest of the way.
Okay.
But I could be wrong. I'm not betting against my guy. I've got him winning the South.
All right.
But I'm going to take. I think Philly hosts the NFC Championship.
Yep.
I don't trust Kirk Cousins to win the biggest playoff games.
He's gonna shit himself.
I don't think Seattle. I think Seattle could beat them in the first round, but I'm gonna get right to it. Philly's hosting the NFC Championship,
Okay.
and I'm gonna take the Niners myself.
Okay.
I'm with you on that. I think the Niners have the best team to go beat Philly, and with that front four, they can make noise. And if that offense could just click and Shanahan not choke the game, the Niners could beat Philly and represent the Super Bowl.
Who you got coming out of that?
I'm with you. Let's go with the Niners. I'm with you on that. Let's go.
Let's go.
All right, AFC. I am going to painfully say the Bills.
Okay.
And then
This is a tough one.
it is because I am not taking the Chiefs. So Chief bandwagon.
What?
I'm not taking them.
What?
Nope. However, I will take them. You ready for this?
Here, talk to him. Drop it.
I am agreeing with my very own Uncle Al on Bengals Bills in the AFC Championship. I'm
Wow.
agreeing with him. Yes, the Bengals can go into Kansas City, Tennessee, or Baltimore and beat them.
So you think that just like the Bengals, they've been there, they've done that.
Yeah, they'll be
fine.
fine.
They're not going to be shook.
No.
Okay.
No, Joe Burrow's shown me that in big games, he's not afraid.
No.
All right, I like them. I think that they can go into 2 big hostile environments and win on the road. We've seen them do it last year.
Back to back, man.
They knock out Casey in the second round of the playoffs.
Wow.
Because Burrow owns Mahomes, okay? Besides
does.
Tom Brady.
He does.
Okay? So, I got Bengals going to Buffalo. I agree with my uncle on this.
All right.
And I agree with my uncle on this. Buffalo beats Cincinnati in the AFC Championship. All right? So I'm with you on Bills and the Niners.
Who you got winning that?
The old saying goes, defense wins championships. Von Miller is the closer because he's the guy that has experience and all that. But Shanahan is due for a win, and I have possibly somebody watching that's telling me, Rich, do not pick Buffalo. Who you got going other than Buffalo? I'll go bold. I'm going against Buffalo. I will take the Niners to come out of the NFC and beat Buffalo in the Super Bowl.
So you got Niners winning the chip.
I do. Okay. I think I'm with you on the matchup. I think you have the wrong team. The Niners defense, they are legit. Fred Warner, Bosa, Armstead.
That team is due.
Okay,
right.
they need a win. They've been knocking on the door. They saw what the Rams did with all those pieces. They got theirs. It's time now for them to knock down the door after being so close for so long. I'm going bold. I'm going against Buffalo. Give me the Niners over the Bills in the Super Bowl. So me and you disagree.
Stamp it.
But that's all right. That's okay. That's what we made to do. Now, let's go to the award picks.
So we know it's the middle of the season, so these players can either drop off or, project how we're thinking about it, but it's fluid. But right now, Rich, me and Rich have a lot of the similar people winning these awards, but obviously it's always up for discussion.
Yep.
So, Rich, who do you got winning MVP?
It all depends on Allen's thing, but I'm going to go with Jalen Hurts. I think they're going to have the best record in football. He's been playing absolutely like a top 5 quarterback this year. I think that's going to be a big thing in the voters' eyes. They're going to lose maybe a game or two. I think that's going to factor him winning MVP like Cam Newton did that year. I have Jalen Hurts winning MVP.
I would say I agree with Rich too. I have Hurts or Allen, but I'm leaning towards Hurts because Allen is a little bit injury.
Right.
But Hurts has the better team. He could beat you in the air and on the ground too, and he just makes everyone around him look insane.
Plus, I've seen Allen have 2 bad games against Buffalo against Miami and the Jets.
Yep.
2 big division opponents. I haven't seen Jalen Hurts have 1 bad game up to this point. Now, he could have 1, but I don't think it'll impact him that much compared to Josh Allen.
Yep.
So I'm going to go with Jalen Hurts over Josh Allen for that reason.
I agree with you on that. So who do you have for your Offensive Player of the Year?
This was close because I had picked Nick Chubb preseason poll in my show.
Yep. Remember.
I want to stick with it, but it is hard to argue with what Tyreek Hill is doing. He's on pace for 2,100 receiving yards. Think about that for a second. 2,100 receiving yards he's on pace for. Okay? If he gets 2,000 yards receiving, and I don't think he will, but that's a hard thing to pass up. They voted Michael Thomas in when it should have been, I forgot who.
Thomas.
I thought it should have been McCaffrey over Michael Thomas that year.
Yeah, I don't know how
but
McCaffrey.
I think, to me, Tyreek Hill's going to win because of the offense that he's in. And I like Nick Chubb, but the Cleveland's record's not going to help him with that unless he just goes on a massive tear this whole second half, which I think he's capable of. But I'm going with Tyreek because if he gets to 2,000 yards, seal the ballots, it's over.
Yep. I agree with Rich on that too. How are we talking about the Dolphins? High-scoring offense, high-scoring games always in the Dolphins game. So and he's always due for that 1-2 deep ball play.
Yep.
I mean, it's crazy. I mean, you can't complain. I agree with Rich on that 100%. So, Rich, who do you have for your Defensive Player of the Year?
This is the only one me and you disagree on.
Yes, it is.
I saw it last week. My Patriots against the Colts. Granted, the Colts' offensive line's not good. But I saw the game before, too, against the Jets. And I'm sorry to say this. I love Micah Parsons. I think he's an absolute stud. I think he's a top 5 defensive player in the league. But Matthew Judon will win Defensive Player of the Year. He will win it. Okay, I seen him against the Jets. Shove a back or receiver and mess him off his route. That's something that doesn't really wow you on the stat sheet. But highlight eye test, that wows me. He had 3 sacks last week. He's had some signature games. Even the Bears game, he had a game. Granted, we got blown out that game. But he's had big games this year. Okay? You can always tell who he is because he wears the red sleeves. That's how, the eye test, too. Okay? But he's been on a tear. Yep. I think he's not only going to lead the league in sacks. He is going to win Defensive Player of the Year because this is where I want to see if he can do it against the good teams.
Yep.
And I know that he's one of the best pass rushers in the league. And I've seen him have multiple games. I've seen him stop the run. He can definitely affect the quarterback. He does the other little things that don't go noticed on a stat sheet.
Yep.
I'm going to shock everybody with a dark horse pick. I'm going Matthew Judon over Micah Parsons for Defensive Player of the Year.
Awesome. All right. Hey, I don't
Who you got?
That. So I got Micah Parsons winning it.
All right. See, I'm not mad if he wins, but I wanted to go something different. That's
I would say that Cowboys team, man, it just play around him. He is a beast. He's on either side of the field.
Yeah.
He can, attack you with his pass rushes, run stuff. He's all over the place too.
Yeah.
Drop backs and coverage as well.
Right.
I mean, very versatile, just like Judon. It just depends on, how they do the rest of the season. I feel like they're really neck and neck with each other.
Yeah.
At least for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, all right. So Rich, I'm gonna say, who do you have for your defensive player or your rookie of the, or how do you even fucking
Defensive
say it?
rookie of the year.
Defensive
Okay.
rookie of the year. Who do you got?
All right. I'm going to go Sauce Gardner. I feel like it's almost unanimous because of the impact that he's had on the defense.
Yep.
He's been playing zone, which is what the Jets have been doing more of.
Mm-hmm.
He was man-to-man in Cincinnati. We all know he can cover the best receivers in the league. And for him to do that as a rookie, he's getting praise now from Revis, I read this morning. I think he's not by default, but almost unanimously defensive rookie.
I would assume so too. Who would you have for second running then if he's unanimous? Who would be underneath him?
For defensive rookie of the year, I'd have to try to think of names off tip
because you don't know anybody,
right?
So
I'm
exactly.
sorry, I can't think of anybody.
That's what I'm saying.
Him.
I think he's clear front, unanimous winner.
Yeah.
So then who do you have for offensive rookie of the year?
Offensive rookie of the year. This one was a little closer because some people got Olave, some people got Dameon Pierce, some got Kenneth Walker. So this was a really tough one to pick. I was flipping back between Dameon Pierce and Kenneth Walker. I'm going to say, though, it's going to be Kenneth Walker because Seattle knows what they are now. They can run the ball first,
and they can throw you in there.
And they can throw with those two guys, Lockett and Metcalf, with speed.
Thing 1 and 2.
They got, a ground and pound attack. Seattle knows what they are. Give me Kenneth Walker. I think he's going to explode the second half of the year. Rashad Penny's now out.
Yep.
Okay. Chris Carson retired due to neck injury.
Yep.
This is the Kenneth Walker's time to really ascend and completely go off second half. I think he does that. Give me Kenneth Walker for offensive rookie of the year.
I agree, Rich, too. And if you see some of his college tape, he literally carried that.
Yeah,
Michigan State
he
team,
did.
Too. It's crazy.
He did.
So who do you have for comeback player of the year?
This was a little close because I was leaning Saquon, and then I was like, can two guys win 2 awards on the same team? It's happened. But I feel like the narrative is going to be on Geno Smith's side more than
100%.
Saquon. I just think the narrative, usually with some awards, with this award in particular, the narrative is there. So give me Geno over Saquon.
Yep.
He's got high completion percentage. Seattle's going to make the playoffs, I think, and have a higher spot than the Giants. I think that's going to decide the factor. Give me Geno Smith over Saquon for comeback player of the year.
Me too. And at the beginning of the year, when we heard Geno Smith being quarterback, we're like, what the fuck?
Yeah, that's why I even questioned my uncle, Geno
if-
Smith or Drew Lock.
And then all of a sudden, you see him go 6-3 right now. Is that it? Or 6?
Nobody would have guessed that. Nobody. If you were to tell me
Nobody
what they would be like that through 9 games, I would have said you're on drugs.
No. And Saquon, though, is making a huge impact on this team, but I don't think it's just the backstory of Geno Smith being so old and just being just forgotten about when he got drafted.
Yep.
He was bouncing off teams here and there, and
Yep.
then went to Seattle, then getting that starting position, and then he took off with it and just ran.
Yep.
I mean, he's doing amazing right now. It's awesome seeing that because, like I said, not from West Street. I went to school at WVU, and seeing old clips of Geno Smith just air it out and almost be in not Heisman contention, but being up there as one of the top 5, top 10 quarterbacks in the nation.
Yeah.
Seeing him doing this now in the NFL, it's awesome.
Yeah, of course. You got to root for those guys that went to your college and all that stuff. I'm going to get to college football very momentarily because we're going to finish up this last award. Coach of the year.
Yep, Coach of the Year. I mean, me and Rich both said it without hesitation. Nick Sirianni.
Yeah,
with
there's
the
other
Eagles.
guys that could make a run, but I don't think.
I think below him's Dayball.
I think it's Dayball or McDaniel.
Dayball.
But I think even Pete Carroll's going to get some consideration for what he's done.
Yep,
but
I was gonna say he can.
But I'm gonna go with Sirianni. They're gonna have
yep.
the best record, and I think that's what's gonna help him be part of that.
I agree so too. I mean, yeah, so the only person me and Rich honestly had a disagreement on was just Micah Parsons for Defensive Player of the Year, but it's neck and neck, and it's crazy too.
Yeah.
It's crazy how I wonder how these people are going to be down the road. I wonder how, if some of them are going to fall off, some are going to do good. So it's always good to have these mid-season projections, I would say.
Yeah, I'm all for it. All right, so we're now going to get into the latest top 25 rankings for college football playoff.
Yep.
All right, so I'm going to give you the notable teams, basically.
Give me top 4 first. Top 4.
Georgia's 1.
Of course.
Ohio State's 2.
Okay.
Michigan's 3. TCU is 4.
Yep.
Now, on the outside looking in, Tennessee is 5. Oregon 6, and then you have LSU at 7 with 2 losses. You got USC with 1 loss at 8, Alabama with 2 losses at 9. You've got Clemson with 1 loss at 10, Ole Miss at 1 loss at 11, UCLA with 1 loss at 12, and then you got North Carolina down all the way at 15 with 1 loss, who could play Clemson in the ACC championship game.
The only reason TCU's in there is because they're undefeated.
Right.
You have to put an undefeated team in.
Yeah, you have to.
But who would you think win, TCU or Tennessee right now if they were to go at each other?
Tennessee.
Of course. But it's just unwritten rules. You have to put a 9-0 team in the top 4. I mean, they're undefeated for a reason. They're a really good team, but I just don't see them, going far in that college playoff at all.
No, I don't think they will make it.
They played some good teams.
Yeah.
It's crazy to see, like, going back to college or going back to like West Virginia, a Big 12 team being so highly rated, because Big 12 is known for offensive heavy. They're not known for defense at all.
Take the overs. That's what they always say.
Take the overs in the Big 12. Yep. But I was gonna say, I'm an Ohio State fan. I mean, like, half my family went there.
Oh wow!
It sucks and pains for me to say that just Georgia's gonna just win this all.
So what do you have? You have Georgia meeting Ohio State in the national championship?
Yep.
And Georgia over Ohio State?
Unfortunately, yes. I mean, Ohio State does play Michigan coming up soon. That's going to be a huge game.
It's in the horseshoe now.
It's in the horseshoe, which sucks because we played them one year when it was at the when it was at us, but I don't know. That's going to be a good game. I hate Michigan so much. I hate Jim Harbaugh, sorry. I hate everything. They beat us one time. They're like Pat Bev fucking crying when he beat the Nuggets, bro. They beat us one time in like 20 years, and they're just crying and shit, and everyone's like, oh, Ohio State sucked. We owned you for like the past like 20 years. I don't know what you're talking about. You remember that Pat Bev beat the Nuggets in the fucking playoff game? He's crying. He's just like he won the championship.
I think it was the Clippers.
Oh, the Clippers. He beat the Clippers.
Yeah,
He's crying, throwing his jersey. See, that's what Michigan fans were to us when they beat us.
See, this is the one thing I need in college right now. I need a team where I completely, like you. You're Ohio State. You hate the rivals, right?
I hate Michigan.
But here's the problem with me.
You don't have
every
one?
team I like some of their rivals. I like that's the thing. But there's 3 teams I do not like. I don't like, and this is just, I'll explain why in a minute. I don't like Clemson, I don't like Alabama, and I don't like Ohio State, but hear me out on this. No, hear me out for a second. Because it's the same 3 every year.
Yeah.
I'm getting bored of it. I want new blood, I want new
Georgia's
guys.
not the same team?
Well, they've only made it, twice in like 5 years? I mean, they'll be, 3 out of 6? All right, but I'm not there with Georgia yet. I'm getting annoyed of Bama, O State, Clemson every single year. Me and my dad talk about this.
Yeah, I'm happy that Bama's
not
even close.
They got a shot, surprisingly, because the committee might be SEC biased. But
I think they
I'll say this. I think it's going to be Georgia making 1. I got O State beating Mich painfully over a 2. I got 3. Shockingly, this is what's going to shock you even. I got somehow, some way, USC at 3. They will beat UCLA. They will beat Oregon. I think Lincoln Riley's got something cooking. That's going to be a great matchup between USC and Ohio State.
Where's Tennessee in all this?
I'm going to get there. And I think that I'm looking through this top 25 right now on my sheet, and I'm saying I don't think TCU is going to win the Big 12. No. I think they're going to be
win the Big 12.
No, I don't think they're. They might win the. I don't know if they're going to win the Big 12. They got some tough games coming up. Oregon, I said, is going to lose to UCLA, which is going to knock them out. I'm going to give Tennessee the 4th spot, and they play Georgia again. And I think that
rivalry game.
It's going to be a rematch of
revenge game.
I don't know, because Tennessee's got no defense.
They don't, but they have an offense.
And Georgia's defense wins championships, but there might not be the same defense. I'm going to go with Georgia against, I'm going to shock you, USC upsets Ohio State, okay? Lincoln Riley can score with Ohio State. Ohio State's got a slightly better defense, but I believe USC can score. I watched Caleb Williams a little bit. He looks really nice. Georgia and USC in the national championship. You ready for this? as much as I want USC to do good,
Georgia's gonna.
I think Georgia is going. If you made me pick right now, I would say Georgia, but I don't think USC has a defense that could stop Georgia's offense. They look more explosive too, with Bowers and Bennett's playing really good.
Yep.
And that defense, I know they're hurt. Nolan Smith's out for this season. That sucks. Jalen Carter's a stud in the middle. Defense wins championships. Give me Georgia. Kirby Smart's building something really nice.
I don't know if you snuck into your uncle's liquor cabinet or not. I don't know what you drink. I don't know what that shit you're drinking is.
I'm
USC
taking
top 4.
They're gonna win the Pac-12. You're gonna tell me the Pac-12 winner is not gonna make the top 4? TCU's got to go through the Big 12. You really think TCU's a top 4 team?
Big 12's garbage. I mean, Oklahoma State was really good.
They fell off. They got
fell
killed
off. They
by
fell
K-State.
I mean, it could happen. I just think it's Ohio State and Michigan, or Ohio State and Georgia.
Okay. I just was curious who your other...
But I do have Tennessee slipping in there.
Okay, and you got one more.
TCU. I think TCU's just going to go undefeated the rest of the season.
Wow.
So I have Ohio State,
Georgia, TCU, and Tennessee.
then Tennessee.
Okay. And then obviously you have Georgia and O State in the national championship. All right.
And then I have Georgia winning, unfortunately.
Okay. Wow. So maybe...
I think they're just on a tear.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how Oregon's back up there. Last time I saw Oregon, they got fucking killed by Georgia first.
They've been a
game.
different team. I've got to check them out a little
Bo
bit.
Nix turned into something out of nowhere.
Yeah, that's a team I think that could come out of nowhere and really make some noise depending on the matchups. Dan Lanning's doing a great job there. I think that they could hang with Ohio State or Georgia. They could. I just don't know. I think they match up better with O State than Georgia.
I just got to see where Alabama comes out this next couple weeks. Like you said, SEC they could be a little bit biased.
They are.
Historically they've been very biased. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I have to take a look at Alabama's schedule. I don't know off the top of my head, but I mean, you don't never count Nick Saban out.
Yeah,
never. He's just like Brady. You don't count Brady out.
I know they got in Ole Miss and they got Auburn, who just fired their coach. I know that notable games remaining. But LSU's got a little bit of a tough second half, so I know
LSU, man, everyone was taking a shit on their head coach, and then all of a sudden he started winning some games.
Brian Kelly's a good coach. Wherever he's gone, he's been very good.
Yeah.
It's just beating the big teams has been the one thing. He's got to be able to win somehow. I just think he's a couple years away. But I like what I'm seeing the last couple weeks. I thought they were not very good when they lost to Florida State week 1. Tennessee was the juggernaut at the time. But since then, they've been much better. Jaden Daniels, looks like he's comfortable now. And I think that despite whatever freshman tackles they got, they've been winning ball games. So they found a winning formula. I think it'll be tough because it'll be them or Bama in the SEC championship. But I'm rooting for LSU to get to the SEC championship. I just think that Georgia's too much.
Yeah.
So
I don't blame you.
Yeah. All right, Vinny, my man. Thank you for coming on, my man.
Of course, man. Of course. Hey, drop a like, comment, subscribe. Also, if you want Rich to talk about other sports besides, college football, NFL, if you want to talk about NHL, I'm NHL nerd. If you want to talk about, soccer, I'm soccer nerd. Baseball, I know baseball just ended, but I mean, if you're looking for other types of areas for Rich to explore in, leave a comment, man.
Yeah.
How are we gonna know if we're gonna change if no one says it?
Yeah. I mean, listen, I don't mind learning something new. Especially about one sport that I'm not that great about. But that's the whole point of this. We sit back, relax, we gather information, and we help other people try to learn the same information that want to learn too.
World Cup's coming around.
Yep.
It's coming around, so that's a huge event.
Yes.
I mean, you can do some coverage on the World Cup. It's pretty easy. It's just, countries and the best teams. You don't got to worry about divisions and all that shit. I mean, hey, right now it looks like Brazil is the clear favorite. With the World Cup being so close to, a lot of players are getting hurt in their club leagues. So a lot of superstars are kind of missing this one. A lot of people are bummed out. Yeah, so it's going to be it's going to be a really good World Cup for, new players to shine. I mean, just how you're talking about with the same college teams, the same players always play every year, but now it's time for the young guys and people you never heard of actually play now. So I mean, I think it's gonna be a really good World Cup.
Yeah, I'll definitely be checking out a little bit of that for sure. I'll definitely be checking out a little bit of that, especially now that it's on around the holiday time.
I was gonna say,
keeps us busy again.
Yeah. But you know what? Best podcast in the world, man. My
Yep.
man Rich. Give it up
Thanks.
for him.
Thanks, buddy.
Carrying this fucking YouTube shit by himself. And you know, he always I'm always open for more discussions.
I'll
such
bring
as
you
this,
back.
Of course.
I'll bring you back.
This isn't the last time. This isn't the last time you see me.
Yeah, we'll bring you back, whether it'll be MLB or NBA, whatever you want to do.
Whatever. But Rich, once again, my man,
Yep,
thank you
of
so
course,
much for
buddy.
everything.
Guys, I'll see you for Friday night for Guarantee It. We're back with my dad and me on Friday night for college football week 11, NFL week 9, or week 10 college football. We will see you guys on Friday night for more Guarantee It. Until then, I'll see you guys next week on the next episode of Lounge Time. Have a good night, everyone.
See ya.